Hello, everyone. I'd like to greet the community, friends. As Bobby Beth said this morning, we're family. I'm honored to have been selected as a finalist for the CEO position. I am proud to have been a member of NAD and to have been involved for all the years that I have been. I want you to know that NAD has been in my heart for many, many years and a part of my life. I began with the junior NAD, and later I did join as a member and a staff member of NAD. And I've tried to be very supportive in a variety of different ways. I'd like to tell you a story about something that really inspired me. It happened about 6 years ago. I was at a staff meeting, and we were asked, "Who do you admire and why?" And we ran around the table and we each shared our experiences. And another person at the meeting, Mark Sharmatz, who's been an attorney for over 30 years, he was involved with many different legal cases supporting the deaf community and pieces of legislation, and he said that he admires people who stand up for their rights, no matter what the risk is to their personal individuality, but that they stand up for the rights of the whole. I feel the same way about the future for NAD. Mark's story really inspired me. My vision for the future of NAD involves transformation for the organization. I have a focused strategy that we understand where we're going and that we work on the future. An important part of that, as I said, and as we discussed in the general forum, is that we feel a part of our organization and involved in the organization. Part of that is having strong leadership, but also being flexible and diverse and inclusive. These are the keys to changing our organization and changing society. I think there are several ways we can make this change. We have 4 areas that I think we can work on. We need to make decisions for our community. And we must be involved in the decisions that other people are making on our behalf. We understand what's the best match and the most appropriate for our community. To have more opportunities, more doors being opened for members of the deaf community to have access to a variety of commonalities in American life, and to help and to show and to prove ourselves as deaf Americans, not to be oppressed, but to show the work that can be done. The most important thing is our young adults, our children. They have dreams, and it's our responsibility to cultivate their dreams and to show them the abilities they have in the future and to fulfill their potential. For change to happen, the NAD does need to have areas of improvement to work on. It's very frustrating when I see people wanting NAD to support a variety of initiatives and do different things, but what we find is that the demands exceed the resources. And for our organization to grow, we have to flip those. We have to find balance between resources and demands. We need to support the demands. So, for example, if a situation comes up and someone wants to contact the NAD for support, that the NAD take quick action. But resources can include staff, volunteers, computers, financial. There's a variety of resources that we haven't tapped into that we need to make that balance happen. How can we expand our resources? Next slide, please. One example of resources today would be our staff. Our staff members are hardworking and passionate, and we need members from the community to be involved. Our staff is a small staff, but they are proud and they support you as members. But the 2020 vision, I see our staff looking like this: excited and energetic and motivated and growing. To have a larger staff, to be able to focus on different subject matter areas and different skill sets and different initiatives, different divisions within the staff. We don't currently have that right now. We have a legal division which works on enforcement and lawsuits and things of that nature, but half of their time, the number of cases that one attorney can work on is insignificant to what we are asked for requests for. So we need to grow the numbers in our legal division, and we need to expand all of our resources, and we do that through your support. But how do we expand our staff? And what is the financial contribution? Fiscal management will allow us to expand our staff. If you take a look at the chart, we're noticing our financials every year, and we have lost money, and there's a variety of reasons why that happens. When I arrived at the NAD, my current job as Chief Operating Officer, we had several ideas on how we could make those numbers increase, and we see where we bottomed out. We don't want to allow the status quo to continue. We need to push that aside and focus on our future to increase our numbers and feel proud in the work that we're doing. So we've restructured projects and also explaining the financial impact and how we can work better for the future. And we're seeing that the bottom is coming up. If you notice 2010, we have seen an improvement. But that's just 1 year's worth of improvement. Think about the future. What will 2011 look like? We'll be in the black again. And the black means that our numbers are positive, not in the red, not in the negative, seeing money increase, which means we can then fund those resources, which thereby means we can improve the community. So how do we raise the money? We connect with you, the community, and communicate with our community members. We've seen in the past year more communications from us through Facebook and Twitter and other social media formats. And we are seeking out your input and information. I want to see more of that the communication doesn't just come top down, but bottom up as well. People attending NAD Conference, vlogs on the importance of going to conference, teaching about your rights, and all of the different projects that we can be involved with now. Philadelphia ASL, that's one project where the community has become involved in the initiative. And there's many more opportunities out there for investment, as long as people are aware of what's going on. Now, how do we achieve this vision? How do we get there? How do we get to this great endeavor that I've explained to you today? It comes from you. Many of the ideas and really the pulse of our community come from our delegate vlogs. Without that, we don't have the information from the community. How do we make these new ideas happen? How do we allocate resources? How do we work together? If you see a delegate vlog coming up from information with the conference or a state affiliate chapter of NAD, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you have to offer. And it's through you that we make it possible. Effective and efficient operations. We have to think about our priorities and sometimes change that plan and be willing to change the plan and restructure and then evaluate again. We have to continuously reevaluate the strategic plan. And we have to know not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it, and when something works and when it doesn't, and be able to make that change to improve NAD for you and for the community. It's a constant process. And we have to be transparent and accountable. The staff have to be accountable for their actions and be able to show what they're working on. They have to be accountable for the important parts of the process. We have to take on the transformational organization models. We have resources, we have ideas, we have profits. Today, it's very hard to raise money, but we have grant ideas and we have initiatives. How do we turn those ideas into grant money to raise donations? We have strong support from the community and other organizations, and we need to strengthen them even more so. Also, hearing parents of deaf children, other organizations, other professional organizations. We need to expand all of our resources to look at the bigger picture and garner more support from them. We need more volunteers, enthusiastic volunteers, people willing to help NAD. For an example, I went to the youth camp and their ideas, and they were so motivated and energetic to have opportunities. And when the camp was over, many of them came up to me because I talked with them about NAD and what they can do. And we really need to take advantage of the fact that they want to get involved. They need to be made more a part of our effort. We need to tighten state association and affiliate relationships. We are only as strong as our state associations are. If they are strong, we are strong. And if not, we need to work with them. We learn from them and they can learn from us. It's a two-way street. We're all a part of the same community, and we all understand we have the similar conflicts and concerns, and we have different opinions and viewpoints on that, but we all come from a common ground. We have agreements, we have understanding, and we have the resources, and we have things that we need in our power to achieve our goals. If you have an organization and there's another organization with similar interests, we can come together. And finally, and most importantly, we have to have good measurement and tracking and performance metrics, which we perform again and again to make sure that we are doing things correctly, that what we have done has been successful and what we continue to do is successful, so we're moving it forward in a positive direction. Remember the story that I shared with you at the beginning of my presentation about Mark and the people that he admired most, or people that really took a stand and sticking their neck out. That inspired me and my passion for NAD and your passion as a community. People who were here before we were here, who stood strong for NAD. We have to keep growing and growing our organization. Thank you very much for your time.
Why do you think you can do this job for NAD?
That's a great question. I believe that I understand the organization very well. I've been involved for many years and in a variety of projects. I've been involved at staff headquarters, and I'm motivated to ask questions and figure out why things are the way they are. And then from there, understand how we can do things better. I've become skilled with management, nonprofit management, fiscal management, things that I learned while I was getting my degrees, and after I graduated, I still found that I wanted to continue, and I see that this will be something I will be involved with for the rest of my life. I want to become there's certifications from other organizations, 501c4, political action committee. I have a huge amount of passion for this organization. It is a part of my heart. I see all of you here, and I know that it means that you also care and want to be a part of the cause, to be a part of the bigger picture, to deal with the frustrations that we've experienced, the oppressions that we've experienced, and I want to better the community. That's what I can bring to the job.
What is your neorealism and the neco-realism movement? And how do you feel NAD should respond?
Thank you. This has come up a lot. There's been a lot of discussion with members of the community that I've been a part of with each of you. I think in regards to the oral method and sign language, they're not mutually exclusive. I believe that sign language should be used at all times. And people say that that may or may not be fair to deaf children, but I believe that all oral programs should include American Sign Language. American Sign Language should be part of all programs in the future. I feel very strongly myself. I remember my bicultural, my biology background with AAPD. The Association for People with Disabilities. They were interested in genetics and trying to create the perfect human being, and they were going down a dangerous path. And they were leading the organization in a way they were educating the world inaccurately. And there were a lot of problems, and the burden is on society, the burden being on them. And I'm a human being. So this morning when MJ Bienvenu spoke about the fortunateness of being deaf, not about being deaf loss, but deaf gain in the world. And we benefit from technology, from having captionings at all times. And it benefits us, and it benefits the world. People that have a strong identity as hard of hearing or deaf, and deaf people.
How do you deal with deaf people of color who face racial and ethnic discrimination in America? And should NAD combat that type of discrimination in deaf America? Why or why not?
Regarding people of color, this is a huge challenge. First of all, skin color is their first discrimination, and their second is the fact that they're deaf. And they're a part of different social organizations. NABD, Black Deaf Advocates. They visited Gallaudet, and there was a wonderful discussion that took place. We need to go out to those types of organizations and be involved with their organizations more than them just coming to us. A wonderful example of what we can accomplish together within diversity organizations. We have delegates, or to have delegates from those organizations. To have a delegate within their organization and representation so that more and more representatives are comfortable to become part of our conference priority and be a priority within the organization. There are many challenges that we face in the next several years. We need to become a model organization of diversity in the long run so that others may mimic the model that we would have and the state associations in particular.
Yeah, and I have several questions. Some people have asked, how would you improve or change NID's financial situation? And what is your vision on bringing in more revenue in terms of how many grants you could get? And in terms of fundraising, what is your experience? And can you explain what your experience is and how can you bring in new revenue streams and resources to the organization? So that's a kind of a combined kind of question.
Sure. That's a very important question. I believe that money comes from ideas and relationships. This week at the NAD Conference, you brought Google here. We have a partnership with them, and it was part of that partnership. They'll be here all day tomorrow and discussing captioning, and that's one way you can figure out a better way to develop a strong bond with that organization and to create a stronger NAD. As far as grants, I believe that every issue that we have, there's a grant out there to support that financially. If we can find the money, we can develop and hire a grant developer. We have to be someone who's committed to looking for those monies at all times. We can find money for different causes and then allocate those funds once we receive them. It is possible. I do have a lot of experience with fundraising. I have done a lot to increase the revenue. I've been looking for unique financial opportunities that we can get involved with. This was not an inexpensive conference. It was very expensive. But we have developed good relationships with our sponsors. And I believe this week we will see a very successful conference financially speaking. We have a lot of donations, which we are grateful for. For example, again, developing relationships. I think we also need to work to increase our membership. I often feel as though there are organizations that we support and if people aren't happy with our organization, they won't come back. And when people see that we are getting money through grants, they're enticed to come back to us. So I feel very proud to be a member of NAD, and I think it's important to support. When people are happy with the organization, they will give to the organization.
Okay, so in terms of the Vision 2020, we have several questions relating to that topic. Can you share some examples of how you would advocate against autism and your strategic plan on how you would use your position as an NAD CEO to combat autism and other kinds of related topics? Would you convene an independent task force to look into cochlear implants? Iced agendas around bilingual education for deaf children? The surge of cochlear implant companies to implant all deaf children? And how would you support a child's human rights to become a functioning adult in society?
This is going to be a long answer. I want to make sure I cover everything.
Primarily, the question deals with how you would confront autism.
Sure, language, deaf children, deaf babies. Okay, thank you so much. Autism is real. It happens all the time. You've experienced it, I've experienced it. I see in my lifetime hearing people taking over, walking over me. because they don't see me as an equal. I believe putting autism in the dictionary is a good idea, but it's not enough. We have to educate the community. We have to show them what autism is and what it looks like and how it affects our community. The media doesn't send a clear message. It's very subtle. For example, here at our conference, I'm working with a hearing colleague. And when we came over from the hotel, someone came over to us and was speaking to my hearing colleague but would not address me. That's one example through the media of how those subtle messages portray us as less than, as deaf adults. We have to continuously educate. DBC is a great organization. And I remember doing some reading, and some of the information that was on the website was very impressive. We need that organization to show the world why ASL is best for deaf babies. They can lead the way, and with our help, we can accomplish a common goal. Cochlear implants, that's a hot topic. OGG. And one of my classmates from NTID, they talk about technology, hearing aids, cochlear implants, and it's really quite an arduous process. It's very difficult to make those decisions for deaf children, whether they should or should not be implanted, because hearing parents go in with a misguided understanding. They think that a cochlear implant is going to fix their deaf child because they want their deaf child to be just like them and they want to be able to communicate with them. But we need to get the message out that it's actually about communication. And every deaf child should have access to ASL.
Shane, thank you very much. This concludes your presentation. I thank you for the opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my vision with all of you. At headquarters, I'm always touched by your passion, your involvement in the organization, and I want to thank you. I look forward to working with each of you in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you.